on the water with me. Yeah. Come on and walk on the water with me. You will not fail. You will not fail. Make a move in faith. Launch on out in the deep.
A very good evening to you right here on Joy 99.7 FM, your superstation, channel of blessing and your place of inspiration. Today is Sunday, the 4th of August, 2024. It's a day the Lord has made. We rejoice and we are glad in this beautiful day. My name is Ato Acquah, and on behalf of my able producer, Mikhail, and I warmly welcome you. It's my pleasure to welcome you to your favorite Christian talk show, A Walk with Jesus, right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Last week we started a series, to solicit the thoughts of some of the spiritual fathers of the land on a very critical subject about the role of Christian leadership in nation building. The immediate past president of the Trinity Theological Seminary, Reverend Professor Kwabena Asamoah-Gyedu, who was our resourceful guest last week, said it is important to build nations because it is through nation building that people find their sense of self-worth and they know that they belong. He also mentioned that one of the important responsibilities of a Christian is to translate spirituality into practical everyday action. Reverend Professor Kwabena Asamoah-Gyedu added that it is when we play our parts as Christian citizens that we can hold leadership to account when they are doing something wrong. Tonight, we're privileged to host another spiritual father of the land to pick his thoughts on this very important subject. I will be introducing this resourceful guest, even as we prepare to speak on, again, the subject of the role of Christian leadership in nation building. Your comments and questions on this topic via WhatsApp are very welcome. It's 055 1111 997. That's 055 1111 997. And then on the Joy FM Facebook page, you can also post your questions and your comments there. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And so do well to connect and share the link. Share so that friends and loved ones will also get connected and learn. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this musical break.
Let's go! Who's more big, bigger, biggest? Tell him he's big. Who's more big, bigger, biggest? Who's more big, bigger, biggest? Listen, big God, too big, so the big cannot describe you. Describe the God you are. So big God, big God, big God, too big, so the big cannot describe you. Big God, big God, mere words can't describe the God you are. Horns, come on. You are bigger than my issues. You are bigger every day. You are the God of all flesh, nothing too hard for him. Mere words can't describe the God you are. Beautiful one, oh, mighty warrior. You are the God of all flesh, nothing too hard for you. Mere words can't describe the God you are. Call him big God, oh, bigger, bigger than my troubles, bigger, bigger than the cancer. Bigger, 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 bigger. Big God, oh, hey, mere words can't describe the God. Listen, listen. If the problem is big, oh, bigger is the solver. If the sickness is strong, oh, stronger is the healer. Ajumana Wakuche woman, undisputed champion, never lost a battle. New words can't describe the God you are. You are a big God, oh, bigger, bigger than my trouble. Big God, too big, so that big cannot describe you. Come on. Big God, oh, mere words can't describe the God you are. Say mere words can't describe.
Right, you're warmly welcome. If you just tuned in, this is A Walk with Jesus right here on Joy 99.7 FM. I warmly welcome you. In fact, it's still a fresh month. And so welcome to the month of August, the 8th month of the year. Interestingly, we just entered 2024 and all too soon we are in August. But then we bless the Lord for how far he has brought us. We're continuing our series on the role of Christian leadership in nation building. And tonight I have yet another father, who is doing mighty, great things in the kingdom, a vessel that God has been using mightily and still using mightily, to be a blessing to us. One who has passion, with regards to leadership, and especially leading on the national level and then on the kingdom level. And so who else would we bring to talk about such a subject that involves the kingdom leadership in relation to the national leadership? And so I am privileged to have right here in the studios of Joy 99.7 FM, Bishop Dr. Samuel N. Mensah, former president of Full Gospel Church International, and currently the chairman of the board of trustees, Full Gospel Church International, right here in the studios of Joy 99.7 FM. Bishop, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Pastor Tu, and happy to see you.
Same here, sir. Same here. I want to say a very big thank you to you for making time out of your busy schedule to be a blessing to us tonight once again.
Well, it's about God and country, and so we have no choice than to contribute to national development, and more so to shape the direction of our country.
We bless the
so
Lord.
That at least when we are dead and gone, people can read that we contributed our part,
Sure.
and never left the scene to probably with the rottenness that we have inherited one way or the other. So we all have a responsibility to shape our country.
Lord. We bless the Lord. To begin with, Bishop, I would want to find out what the relationship is between spiritual leadership, leading a spiritual organization as in the church, and leading the nation. What is the relationship? What's the correlation?
I think basically the principles underlying the basic qualities of leadership runs through whether corporate leadership, spiritual leadership in terms of the church or the nation. They are basically, the principles are the same, and therefore there wouldn't be any much difference. The only difference when we attach the adjective Christian leadership, it is assumed that by the principle of servant leadership, whereby it's the guiding principles of what Jesus Christ has taught us, the example of Jesus in servant leadership, where basically people happen to be the center of your leadership activities, because by and large everything must be about people and the improvement of the lives of people. So I would say that the correlation has to do with the same principles apply to these two national sector and church related background in terms of leadership.
So we'll be right to say then that Christian leadership has definitely a role to play in national development.
Definitely, because when we talk of the Christian leadership, it's all basic about the principles that outline what leadership is all about. And with the book that I developed on the principles of leadership, the qualities of leadership, if you look at the word leadership and L, I did say that is listening. That leaders must listen to the people. Leaders must have the ears of the people. And therefore, what is leadership? If you do not listen and get feedback to be able to know what is going on and what you need to do. And E, in the word leadership, is empowerment, energy. What really drives you? What wakes you up? What is the energy that you have that you can affect other people positively? And the A is agent of change. Leaders are agents of change. Wherever you find a leader, there must be change. Wherever you find a leader, there must be movement. Wherever you find a leader, things should improve and get better. So that is the A in leadership. The D in the spelling of the word leadership is leaders develop daily. You are as good as your people. So you must add value to your life. Leaders develop daily. The leader passatur is like a well, whereby people in the village will get up in the morning and drop a bucket and just fetch the water. The day the villagers get to the town, or the town members get to the center of the town, and then they go to draw water and there's no water, what do you think will happen to the well? They will abandon the well, fill it possibly with the sun, and go and find another well. So the day a leader you are dried out, you have nothing more to offer the people, they abandon you, because there is no more well for which they will have to draw from you. So leaders must develop daily, must improve. That is why the nation's development, when a nation is developing, or a church is developing, or a society gets better, it has a reflection on who is leading. Okay, who is leading? The next E is about empowerment. What is the essence of leadership if people are not better under your leadership? What is the essence of leadership if the society is not better? What is the essence of being a president when the lives of people are miserable? What is the essence of leadership when your church members are horrible? What is the essence of leadership when your members in your organization are not faring well and doing well? So leadership is about empowering people, making the lives of people better. The R in leadership is responsibility. Leaders take responsibility. So whether national leadership, corporate leadership, church leadership, organizational leadership, people take responsibility. You don't go about and keep blaming people for the problems you've inherited. That is why you are there as a leader. Okay, so you take responsibility for the problems. Just before we came on air, I was following the story and the news about our road network. Yes. Lights are no street lights. Even in the Jubilee, around the Jubilee House,
is dark.
It is dark. Something is totally wrong. I mean, somebody must take responsibility. You listen to most of the things on air, it's quite depressing. You ask yourself, one message I preach, You know,
What does that mean for those who don't speak Ga?
you know, it's just like when when we were growing up, or perhaps in your neighborhood, you find people in in the next neighbor or in the house. They are quarreling, they are fighting, they are insulting each other, and so much rowdiness in the house. Then someone will ask, "Onukpa Beshialo, is there no elderly person in the house?" Because it is expected that if there is an elderly person in the house, this nonsense will stop. If there is an elderly person in the house, there will be law and order. If there is an elderly person in the house, things will work well. So we are asking ourselves, Onukpa Beshianelo, Onukpa Beganalo, are there no elders? You know, one time the former moderator said, where are the leaders? You know, the rots in our system, the lawlessness, you know, everything is out of control in our country. The question is, where are the leaders? Where are the professional leaders? Where are the professional bodies? Where are the religious leaders? Where are the organizational leaders? Why are we in a total mess and nobody is talking? So the R means leaders take responsibility. You know, and what is the next letter?
S.
S. They see. Ability to see. Ability to have a vision. Where are you taking the people to? Where are they going in the next 5 years? Where are they going in the next 10 years? What will become of the nation in the next 20 years? So the S in the leadership is about sight, seeing, vision. And H is they speak to the heart. You know, if people will really come on board, you touch their heart first. Then their mind will be affected before their hands will be ready to work. So leaders speak to the heart. You know, and if they will have to respond, they would like to see, are you setting the right example? Because people will be inspired by what the leader is doing. So you don't need to tell them that, look, let's all just tighten our belt or let's do something. But let them see it in your action. And so that is the H. Then I, they take initiative. Okay, leaders take initiative. You don't wait to be told what to do. When you are always being told what to do, then you've lost the essence of leadership. Because the first person to lead is yourself. Okay, the first person to lead is yourself. So you must take initiative about your own life, and then, you know, people must take initiative. If I have people in the house, they don't need to be told when you get up in the morning, sweep, do this and tidy up. Or in the organization, you are always told what to do. No, we have moved from that era whereby everybody will always have to supervise you. You should be able to work with minimum supervision. And then
That's
P.
a P.
The P is problem solving and people centeredness. You know, so leadership is about people, people centered problems, people centered. It's about putting people in the center of decision making, because everything is about people. When people get better, your leadership, you know, your leadership elements is on high. And then leaders also fix problems. Leaders don't talk about problems, they fix problems. It is in the DNA of followers to complain, Pastor Tu, and it is in the DNA of leaders to fix the problems. So the day you find your pastor complaining, oh, well, our offerings are low, our membership is low, we can't meet our target. The general overseer probably have asked the branch, we want to raise this amount of money, and then the pastor is complaining, our people are not working, we don't have the money, we can't meet our target. And then you are complaining like the church member. That day you have ceased to be their pastor. Because the people, the church members, would complain. Your job is to fix the issues, turn things around, turn them to become leaders. So when a leader starts complaining like the people, they have ceased to lead. So the job of leaders is to fix problems. I keep saying, leaders have two best friends, Pastor Tu. The first best friend of a leader is vision. Where are you taking the people to? You know, vision leads the leader. It is not the leader leading the vision.
What's the difference?
We love sports very well, okay?
Yes.
Who follows who? Is it the ball that follows the player or the player that follows the ball?
Well, the player runs after the ball.
The player runs after the ball. The ball is the vision. Leaders keep their eyes on the ball. You know, and the player keeps his eye on the ball. So wherever the ball goes, the player runs towards the ball. And then the player will run towards the ball, and the player will hold on to the ball. But the player doesn't hold on to the ball. You pass the ball. And the player will ensure that the ball will go into the net. So it is the player who is always looking after the ball, and you are looking for the ball. You look after the ball, you look for the ball, and your eyes is fixed on the ball. So the leader must fix his eyes on the vision. When there is a problem, the first thing is that, what is our vision about? So my decision should be in line, should sync with our vision. You know, it makes decision taking very easy, because you know that this is the direction we are all going. So you don't need to really struggle in your decision making. And then when the leader, a player, you know, you get a ball, the opponent gets the ball, you know what? Other players will run to the opponent and attack him. You know why? Because the ball is in the hands of the opponent. The day people get to know you have a vision, the day they get to know you have a dream, that is when people will start attacking you. Why? Because when you are not going anywhere, nobody attacks you. On the field of soccer, when the player is just standing there and you go and attack him, what happens? It's a foul. But when the guy gets the ball and you attack him rightly, it's okay, it's accepted. But you see, when the person hasn't got the ball and you attack, it's a foul. So when you don't have the ball, the vision of your life,
There's no need.
no one is going to attack you.
Attacking.
You know, but the day they realize that, oh, now you have a vision, you are taking your life somewhere, you want to make a meaningful impact in your life, you will be attacked. The day Africa recognized, or the day Africa realized that they have a vision of improving the lives of the people, using their resources to improve the lives of the people, Europe will not be happy. The West will not be happy. Why? Because Africans are rising up to the vision. When you rise up to your vision, people will attack you. So when your life is not being attacked, the question is that you are not going anywhere.
Wow.
Okay, you are not going anywhere. So these are the elements that I have outlined in my book, the non-negotiable qualities of leadership.
And these principles are conventional. I mean, they cut across every facet of life as far as leadership is concerned.
Absolutely. If we take each one of them, we can't do without it. You know, because both, whether at spiritual level or national level, leaders must listen to the people. As a matter of fact, if our government, and through our president and the government, had listened when they were being advised of the overborrowing, we wouldn't be in the mess we are in. For the extent for the way we have been told that the next 25 years we are just going to be in this huge debt for the next 25 years, and it would be probably to take us over 25 years to recover. If they had listened. The job of leaders is to listen. You know, you listen to best advice. You listen to the experts. And then you find out how do you probably turn things around. So if you don't listen, you will run into problems. You will lead the people astray. So that is very critical, because if you're a pastor leader and you don't listen to get a feedback, you will mess up your congregation. So that is truly applicable both at national level, church level, organizational level. We are in a mess as a nation because our leaders refuse to listen, to get feedback from the people. And for me, that is very, very important.
Bishop, help us understand what nation building, you know, is all about. This is a phrase that we've been using in our discuss, you know, day in, day out. But in the light of the subject that's on the table, would want to understand what nation building is. Probably we don't really have an understanding of it. That's the reason why we're dancing around the way we are.
Well, I think when we talk of nation building, we can look at the characteristics that make nation building. And we are told that, one, it must involve shared identity, that we must all have an identity as a society or as a nation. And when we talk of self-identity, our history, you know, our culture. And so today, tomorrow is a public holiday. We are not too sure of the kind of history we have now, you know, and for me it's very sad as to who really, like, for example, is the founder of our country. We are in a mess. We've distorted our history. We changed our Republic Day. We have introduced August 4th. It appears we are rewriting history. What I will advise all national leaders and everybody: why don't we get the best historians, in our country? What is so difficult
is it a
for us?
rewriting of history, or it is bringing on board the missing elements over the years?
Well, if you are bringing on board the missing elements, you do not also downplay what history has already established. Okay? So, in my view, why don't you bring all the best of historians together and let them establish our history properly? Where there are the missing links, let's make sure we have a complete history of where we are coming from and where we are. That is very important. But it appears that depending upon who is running the country, then of course we want to redefine our history. After 67 years, we can't continue like that. This should definitely stop. So when we talk of nation building, it has to do with our sense of history, our culture, our identity. As we speak, we don't have national values that drives us. We have values probably at social levels or tribal levels, but we don't have national values. If you look at Japan have national values. Singapore, they have national values. That drives them. China have national values that drives them. If I should ask you, what are our national values? We don't have a well acceptable national values. And I think that it's about time we really sat down to do something about it so that the next generation, we can probably pass on national values to the next generation that will make them the true Ghanaians they are supposed to be. The second aspect of nation building is strong institutions. Okay? But as we speak, we don't really have the kind of institutions that we need to have. We are talking of effective and accountable, institutions. We have really weakened all our institutions of state. Kudos to our political leaders. Bravo. Let's clap for them. Let's encourage, let's celebrate them. They've done so well to destroy our institutions. They have done so well to divide us. Between the NPP and NDC, they have done so well.
How have they done that?
They have divided us among NDC and NPP lines to the extent that professional bodies are divided, organizational leaders are divided, sad to say religious leaders are between the NPP and NDC divided, and that is, even our student body are also divided. A TESCON and a TEAM. Recently, a cousin of mine, just about to finish the university, they said, "Uncle, I don't think there is any hope in the country. I'm trying to find a way of leaving the country. But if I have to stay in the country, I have to register with TESCON and I have to register with TEAM. That means I have to register with NPP or NDC. So I've done that because if you don't have any party card..."
What's the wisdom behind that decision?
He said if he didn't have that, that registration of that card,
his future looks bleak.
His future looks bleak. There's no hope for him. He may not get any job. There wouldn't be any favor.
How so?
And then I asked that, is that where we have gotten to? That until you have a party card, you are not fully a Ghanaian. Until you have a party card, you can't get a job. Until you have a party card, you can't have contracts. Until you have a party card, you will not be treated as a Ghanaian, depending upon who is in government. This should not continue. I felt it within my heart that this is what we've got into. And this is as a result of the duopoly. This is as a result of the NPP and NDC, where they have divided us to the extent that this virus have affected church leaders. Unfortunately. And so depending upon who is in government, sometimes when we have to take decisions, it's like, well, let's go slow because one or two people are, affiliated or perhaps, being sympathetic. And so let's go slow on that. It's true everywhere. In the judiciary, is the same. Ghana Medical Association, the same. Everywhere. So the point is that is how bad and destructive our two political parties have done against us. But we have a responsibility. National leaders have responsibility. Patriotic leaders have a responsibility. Church leaders, spiritual leaders have the responsibility to rise above these partisan politics and begin to bring the nation together. If we don't do that, our future is extremely bleak. Okay? And so economic development is also part of the elements of national development. Social cohesion, for us to see that we are together as a nation. And then political stability is one of the most important things. And of course, infrastructure and human development. We just told before we came on air, we are talking of the infrastructure. Motorway. After Kwame Nkrumah, no government has actually been able to improve upon that. So all these constitute to national development. And we all have a responsibility to ensure that our nation is developing.
Bishop, there is the school of thought. Let's focus on Christian leadership. There's a school of thought that if Christian leadership...
But I think it's on record here and on one of your exalted programs here, I have said that I'm a strong believer. I strongly believe that one of the major fundamental problems we have in our country is our constitution. And I have said it over and over and over. It's our constitution. And if we don't do anything about it, you will have the best of leaders, and yet they will not be able to drive the country forward.
You think that's the problem of Ghana?
I did say here that even if you should bring in Gabriel, okay, to go to the Jubilee House
and work with this constitution,
4 years, Pastor 2, Angel Gabriel will be corrupt.
Wow.
In 4 years' time, Angel Gabriel will be corrupt. Under this constitution, Angel Gabriel will be corrupt. And therefore, we need a constitutional reform. And that must become our starting point. And that is why some of us have trumpeted this for the past 10 years.
Why is it not being done? Why is it not being done?
Because the presidents enjoy that. The constitution have made the president very powerful, extremely powerful, to the extent that he treats the country like his private property. Okay? He treats the country like his private property. He does whatever he wants to do with the country. And nobody is talking. Nobody can say anything. So he's extremely powerful. One man called the president, appoints over 6,000 people in the country. Okay? And everybody has to kowtow to him. He's extremely powerful. You can't touch him. And that is the reason why whoever among this situation we are in now, any president who comes to tell you that when he takes over he's going to change the constitution, that is a lie. Because you know what? The constitution makes him... Do you think when you go there, with the current constitution that makes you so powerful, you run the country like with friends, family, government, you create loot and share, you are going to change the constitution, you will also like to continue. So how can we change the constitution? It will depend upon the people. The people must call for. But if you leave it in the hands of these current politicians, no one is going to effect the change. That is why we have professed that it is important there must be a third alternative, a third force, and a credible alternative in place of the duopoly, so that they are coming with a message of constitutional reform and put Ghana in the center of decision making, so that whether you don't need to bear a party card to be described a Ghanaian, but you can be given a job to do once you qualify to do that job. It should take the people, the ordinary men and women on the street, and the ordinary people to request for this constitutional reform. Otherwise, the next government that would come, if that same government is behaving like a create, loot and share government, is behaving like family and friends government, is behaving like nobody's business government, believe you me, we are not too sure whether that fourth republic will last. Okay? We wouldn't be sure that that fourth republic may be truncated, or that new government will finish her term if they continue in that same direction we find ourselves.
Bishop, what you're saying is painting a picture as though it will be hard to say there is hope for Ghana.
There is hope for Ghana. The hope must be trumpeted by religious leaders and well-meaning leaders.
How are the religious leaders going to posture or position themselves to ensure that what you're raising about the Constitution, for instance, is attended to and dealt with for the betterment of Ghana?
I will come to that. Let me give you an example. I think just about 3 days ago, I saw Honorable Sam George. He's our son. He had a meeting with the chief imam. He had a meeting with the traditional leaders. He's going about asking for their blessing so that they will go on the street and demonstrate on this LGBTQ bill, which today it has been held hostage by the Supreme Court. Okay, which is now on the doorsteps of the Chief Justice, for which no one now knows who. She said she has given a timeline when she's going to listen to the entire case. If we are not careful, by the time this Fourth Republic, the 8th Parliament comes to an end, the case probably may not have been held. So I think at this stage, it has been held hostage. And Honorable Sam George, our son, is going about galvanizing support. And then the question is, where are the church leaders? This must be the job church leaders must be doing. Yet, Honorable Sam George, a deacon in a church, a believer, is so passionate of driving this. I recall from the beginning of the year, Christian leaders, Christian
But is it
council-
out of place for him to do that? Is that not the reason why God will bring someone like him, a believer, into power?
That is true. That is true. But he must also get the support of other leaders to say that we are with you. From the beginning of the year, the Christian community, the GPCC, Christian Council, the National Association of Charismatic Council, the Catholic Bishop Conference, they all sounded a strong message that if this bill is not passed, they will ensure that this government is removed through the ballot box. They sent a clear message from the beginning of the year. Pastor Tu, we are 4 months now to the end of the year, 4 months now to elections. I'm not hearing that voice. I'm not hearing the voice again. Okay? If that voice was strong from the beginning of January, that if they refuse to sign the bill, they will be removed from office. Go back and play past tapes. You will hear the voice of all the church leaders, the voice of the Christian Council, the voice of the GPCC, the voice of the National Association of Charismatic Council churches. You hear the voice of the Catholic Bishop Conference. The church leaders, our leaders, gave a clarion call, strong call. If you don't do this, you will be removed. 4 months now to elections, the voice is silent. Honorable Sam George alone is galvanizing support. I think this is the time the voice must echo back. And the voice must re-echo to remind them, we said this in January, we are reminding you. If you don't do this, this is what we are going to do. But you see, I said from beginning, our political leaders have succeeded to divide our fronts. All leaders, both at professional level and religious level. So now that it's about 4 months more to elections, people are beginning to play safe. That is what I think. So where is the voice now? Why are they now not sounding and reminding the government that this is what we told you? If you refuse and you play the game of sending it to, getting 1 or 2 people to probably put an injunction on Parliament so that it will go to the Judicial Service, and then the Apex Court through the Chief Justice will also hold it in ransom and hostage. Church leaders must now speak. So why are they quiet now? This is where I think we say kudos to our political leaders. They have done well to divide us. But I think this is a time we must rise above partisan politics, think about the country, and shape the direction of our nation.
Someone would say that, Bishop, well, granted, agreed. Political leaders have succeeded in dividing the front of leadership to the extent that religious leaders have also fallen victim to that. But then, wouldn't one be right to say that it is the religious leadership that have allowed that to happen? In that, if you haven't opened the door for me, I can't come in and mess up things in your room.
I think you are right. Recently, when I saw a video of what the Gen Z group did in Kenya, and one or two of these the youth, they were blaming the church leaders in Kenya for going to bed with government in Kenya. They were blaming the church leaders, and they said they were going for the church leaders also, because they are holding them responsible. They said, look, you give your pulpit to the people, to the politicians, and then you anoint them, and you prophesy over them that they are going to lead, and so you support them. Because, they come to you, they give you big sums of money, and then you support them. So the Kenyans were holding the church leaders responsible. And I think it's not too different from what we experience here in our country. So, yes, you are right. But if we should be able to tell them when they go wrong that you are wrong. We are not partisan. We are above partisan politics. We should be able to call the leaders to order. But, sometimes it has become very difficult to do that. But I think we must begin to trumpet that. Our young men and women are looking up to us. They are watching what the leaders are doing today. They are watching what our church leaders are doing today. And if we don't correct it, we are just sitting on a time bomb.
You said there's a little hope. I mean, when I made mention of the fact that picture looks as though there isn't hope, where can the change start from?
You see, everything rises and falls on leadership. And so the change will also begin from the leadership of the various Christian council groups. Mm-hmm. They should begin to come out and agree that where do we want to see our nation going? What kind of nation do we want to build? They must agree that we must have a nation that has national values. We must have a nation that has national vision, so that in the next 20 years, we all know where we are going. We must have a nation, with set of culture. So once they agree, then they are going to influence policy making and to ensure that this is where we are going. For the next government, the mess we are in, for which we have been told that it will take over 20 years plus to recover, no one government can fix the problems that we have inherited now in the next government. No one government. I bet you, my eyes are open and I'm not prophesying, but I'm declaring, NDC alone cannot fix the problems we have inherited. NPP alone cannot fix the problems we have inherited. It will take a union government.
So that looks like an all-inclusive governance.
Exactly. That must be the strategy after in 2025.
Is that possible in Ghana?
It can be possible depending upon who is leading. If I were probably in the office as a president, and even if you came on the ticket of a political party, you can work with all kinds of people. That is why over the past 10 years, we have called for a third force, an alliance, which has given birth to what we call the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. And apparently, the Honorable Anantramantin believes in all those policies of union government, a government of inclusiveness, a government of national continuity, that all projects that have been abandoned from the days of Rawlings in 1992 to date must be continued, a government that will deal and fight with corruption, a government that will fight on the galamsey, because in the next 10 years we've been told we are going to import water, and Ghana Medical Association have also warned our government that if we don't do something on this water issues that has poisoned our water bodies, in the next 20 years, our health institution may collapse. Okay? So these are the things that we need now to shape our country in the next phase of our government. And it appears that these two, parties are not ready for that. And therefore, it is necessary that an alliance that will call for constitutional reform and be able to put the country together, inclusive government, is what we need to change the direction of our country. Pastor, 32 years. NPP has been there for 16 years. NDC has been there for 16 years. Ask me, what again are they bringing? What again are they going to offer? Can't we think about something different and be able to say that let us try something new? In the first place, we must even define and re-evaluate our democracy. Has this democracy delivered to us the dividends we expect? 32 years of our democratic rule. Where are we now and where are we going? We need to evaluate. How effective has it been? Was it a cut and paste, democracy? So do we now have to restructure it and customize it to our African setting so that it will work for us? Because this cut and paste democracy is not working today, it will not work tomorrow.
You're not being a prophet of doom?
I'm being a prophet of hope. A prophet of hope that will call for, let's sit down and really examine the kind of democracy and governance we have. We have university institutions that can organize a forum to examine the kind of democracy that is workable for Africa, that is workable for Ghana, that will allow us to move forward. America is over 250 years in democratic governance. They can afford to play this Republican and Democratic, game, and now it's getting worse, in the U.S. They can afford to do that because they are superpower. They have already developed. Okay, they have already developed. But a nation like 65 years, 67 years, that is struggling with basic infrastructure, struggling with over 5,000 schools under trees, struggling with our dilapidated hospitals. You can't survive with this democracy of partisan democracy. You cannot survive with that. It should take all-inclusive governance and government system to move our country forward. So I will expect that, experts should organize a conference to re-examine the democratic system that is workable and applicable for us. A democratic system that can include, both professionals, traditional leaders, faith-based leaders to change the direction of our country. That is doable, but it will call for a leader who will say, I'm going to organize a conference so that we can shape the direction of our country and then define the kind of governance system that can work for us.
It's still a walk with Jesus right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Bishop S.N. Mensah is my guest. We're discussing the role of Christian leadership in nation development. I'm very sure that you're learning. Just want to read a few messages. I asked Reverend Professor Asamoah a question last week. I would want to throw same question to Bishop pretty soon. But then let me read a few messages. This is coming from Dela Belly in Damfa. It says, God bless you, men of God, for this important discussion. I think our Christian leaders have failed us, especially in this generation. Our very revered and very well listened to men of God have gone mute. We lack the Nathans of our time who can speak to power with boldness without fear or favor. The level of rot, bad governance and policies, division, etc., affecting the very members of the church are of little or no concern to these men of God. The work of the church will be of no effect if things continue like this. Now, everyone wants to leave this country, including me, at the least opportunity. God help us. Right. Thank you very much for that submission. Good evening, Pastor Ato Acquah and Bishop Mensah. A church in tandem with its biblical instructions is to act as hyssop to purge the hearts of Christians and leaders. Unfortunately, it's not so because the purity and direction of the church has been sidelined. Thus, we seem not to respect instructions coming from the pulpit any longer. Meanwhile, we need these biblical instructions to properly shape our political beliefs, ideas, practices, and leaders. This is coming from Uncle Ben in McCarthy Hill. All right. Okay, some more messages will come through on Facebook. I'll be getting on. All right, so we are on Facebook. Let me see a few messages that we have, and then I'll be asking Bishop my question. Interestingly, time is so far spent, and right. This is from Frank Dia. It says, "Onyamin Shrao, we need a radical and transformative change. Things are very bad." All right. Some more messages will be coming through. All right, then. Thank you very much for the messages. Bishop, I asked Prof. Asamajedu last week. In a couple of months, let me say a couple of weeks, Ghana will be going to the polls. Okay, so Justice Kwanzaa, let me read. My producer says I should read Justice Kwanzaa. It says, "First time hearing this man of God speak. He's full of wisdom." All right, then. Caleb says he always speaks wisdom. More grace, man of God, referring to Bishop S.N. Mensah. God richly bless you. God richly bless you, Bishop Samuel N. Mensah. We need a national vision to drive this country. Okay, so Seth Kojo is agreeing with Bishop with regards to the national agenda, having a national agenda and driving that national agenda. So, Papa watching live from Temaport, God bless you. You are my Papa all the way from Temafo Gospel Church. All right, then. Bishop, in a couple of weeks, Ghana is going to the polls. What would you be looking out for? First of all, are you going to vote? Let me ask you.
I am going to vote.
What will you be looking out for in the person you are to vote for?
I'm going to vote for Ghana. I'm not going to vote for a political party.
But it's political parties who are going to be campaigning, to be voted for.
We have encouraged the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. That basically has 7-point message, as I have outlined. That one, a constitutional reform. 2, a national vision that would drive our country. Deal with corruption, number 3. Number 4, end the winner takes all. Number 5, government of continuity. Number 6, attitudinal change. The biggest problem we have is attitudinal change. You may have an angel in the Jubilee House, but if the attitude of the people are so bad, it will be extremely difficult to bring change. Remember, Jesus came from Nazareth. Bible says he couldn't do so much miracle. Why? Because of the bad attitude of the people. So the people are also responsible. And all these have been well spelled out by the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, for which Alan Chirmantin is providing that leadership.
Bishop, what's the guarantee that this is not just talk and that it's going to be put into action? Because we've heard a lot of good talk from the campaign platforms.
The point is that we have tried a lot of things that haven't worked for us. The heartbeat of Ghanaians is that we want a Ghana that would work. So we need to make sure that people that have committed themselves that this is what is going to work. A government of continuity, a union government, a government that will bring everybody together to move the country forward in the next government is extremely important. It will take the commitment of that alliance to bring that change. And I guess that is what we want to try. We've tried the two. We need to find, can there be any credible voice? And I think that's the next credible voice we want to try to make sure that we give our nation some level of hope. So yes, I would vote not for a political party. I'm going to vote to protect our water bodies. I want to vote to end the winner takes all. I want to vote for a constitutional reform. And these are the things that we can change our country and then bequeath to the next generation a Ghana that we can all be proud of.
Wow. Well, all too soon, we have come to a point where we would have to draw down the curtains. Before I let Bishop say his last words, this book, The 10 Non-Negotiable Leadership Qualities, is it on the shelf?
It is. You can get it in most of the leading bookshops, Challenge Bookshop, the Assemblies of God Bookshop, EPP, so some of these leading bookshops, you can get it there. As a matter of fact, it's good for the corporate leaders, for traditional leaders, faith-based leaders, political leaders, and students. In fact, some of them is even being used in some of the universities,
right?
At master's level.
Right.
So I will encourage people to really grab a copy.
Right. Before I release, we draw down the curtains, Bishop. Your last word to religious leaders, the church leaders. Let me be specific, and to political leaders, then to the people.
I think for my message for our religious leaders, let us try to be above partisan politics. People perceive us to be in bed with a government, to be sympathetic towards government, but let's put Ghana in the center of what we do, and then be able to drive our country forward and enforce the things that we have called for. We've called for this LGBTQ thing. This is the test of the Christian leaders now. What they said in January, what they said in December, that if this government fails to sign, they will ensure that this government is removed. They should hold on to their word. And they should find a way to push this dream to come into reality, to sign the LGBTQ into law. To the people, we have tried NDC and NPP. We thank God for what they have done in the past 32 years. We haven't seen any major significant change. Let's vote for ourselves, vote for your children, vote for a change. President Kufuor said, Shewasi Tremo, Natu Abapa. So, and let's change the direction of our country. And I think the alternative force would be the credible alternative to bring the change we need to see, where it will be a government of a union government, a government of national unity that would drive. Because you see, the mess we are in the next, what we are told over 30 years from now, no one political party can turn the fortunes of Ghana around. Believe me, on the 7th of January, whichever government will be sworn in, Pastor Two cannot do anything by themselves alone. It will take all-inclusive government to change the direction we are in. So if NDC thinks we are coming, and therefore we will sideline NPP and drive everybody away, we will be back to square one, and it could be more dangerous for us. We need a national union government in the next phase to transform our country.
Thank you very much, Bishop S.N. Mensah, for your time and for being a blessing to us once again. God richly bless you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Right. So this is where we draw down the curtains as far as tonight's edition of A Walk with Jesus is concerned. Many thanks to Bishop S.N. Mensah, my guest, and many thanks to Michaela Nai, my able producer, and to you, my cherished listener. God richly bless you. Uncle Ken is on your radio with Jazz on Joy. He's going to be treating you to some beautiful, beautiful jazz tunes. So stick and stay. Keep your dial locked right here on 99.7 megahertz. My name is Ato Acquah. We're out.